Right, so this is my media evaluation. The third question on the sheet is what kind of media institution might distribute your media product? I've chose Bura Media Group because they distribute similar products as mine with Kerrang and Q Magazine, and they're both in the same sort of genre as what I'm aiming for. One of the biggest European media institutions, so they've got a big base, and their worldwide circulation for titles they have distributed is 38 million magazines a week. So they sell a lot and they make a lot of money. This media group are more likely to produce my magazine as they already have two of the biggest names in rock as it is, so they are more likely to produce more in the same genre, and it makes it similar to my product, which makes it more, they've got more of a fan base, so it's more relatable to them. Ways they could advertise my magazine would be through TV, as they have their own channels as it is Kerrang. YouTube as well is another good way that advertisements have come across recently. Things like their other magazines, as people are already reading their magazines that would then be interested in looking at a new one. Social networking has become a big way to advertise as well recently, with more people on things like Facebook and Twitter. Podcasts, such as Kerrang's podcasts, and advertisements on apps. When you go on games and things, you get advertisements come up on free apps, which is a good way to advertise your own brand. And QR codes to make it easy to accept. My product would be produced in many different formats. So I decided that apps have now become a very dominant type of thing to want to do. As you can see, I've put a picture of Glamour's app on, which is another magazine, which most people now, as I've put at the bottom here, are connected to some form of 4G, 3G subscribe. So most people have internet on their phone and will use apps with a smartphone, which is also another reason I've got internet to download the copy of the magazine, so it's accessible for those that can't get to shops. But general paper, print magazine are very popular still, and people like to have the actual copy. But then also subscriptions, so people can have it for a cheaper price sent to them every month. As they already produce magazines such as Kerrang, they are likely to promote my magazine perfectly to the target audience. And to reach this, they are likely to advertise in their magazines of the same genre. And also during the same genres, YouTube videos and things like that, they are most likely to promote my magazine, and this will help itself. It will make a bigger profit as it aims to those people that already are into that type of magazine. Question 4 is, who would be the audience for your media product? I was very specific with the socio-economic group, as my magazine was going to basically young. So I was looking at Group E, which was the lowest substance. And as you can see that it's normally those that are young, so they're about 16 to 25. This is because they are most likely to be in some form of education, so they're not earning as much money as, say, their parents might. However, this may vary. If a band is featured in the magazine, they want someone of a higher group might want to buy it, which is mostly around Group D and C2. Young and Rubicans, I was very specific with the fact that my magazine is a Halloween special, and so I decided that Reformers were going to be the main group it was going to target, as Halloween's a very unusual event and it's very specific to certain people. Many rock fans define themselves as nonconformists, so Reformers are nonconformists, and that way it's going to most likely attract to them. However, they do have a mainstream attraction recently in recent years as well. So it could also advertise to them, or it could go anyway really, but mainly reformers, with it being a Halloween group. And then to make it to rock fans, I was very specific that I wanted it to look a certain way. Through surveys on SurveyMonkey, I found that the colour scheme was very important to people with the red and the black. However, with me making a Halloween edition, the colour orange obviously connotes to Halloween, and it was important for me to put that in. The text, I also found it needed to be bold to stand out a lot, and sans serif fonts were also a common theme throughout rock magazines. Eye-catching images and bands. I use inside my magazine a lot of band photos and a lot of live events. And then my main photo, I was very specific that I wanted a female on the cover, which will be on the next slide. My magazine is of the rock genre, so but I haven't chosen a sub-genre because of it being a special edition would make it less profitable to pick a certain genre because not many might like it. So it's basically average, aimed at your average rock fan.
If you went with a smaller genre, do you think that would risk alienating some people?
Yeah, with it being Halloween specifically as well, because if I aimed at, say, just punk rock, a lot might not like Halloween at all, so they might not want it. And then, as I've put in the pictures below, as your average rock fan is seen to be someone that's quite dark and rebellious, which also relates to the colour scheme that goes on, and they tend to like to break traditions. So the gender was really important for my magazine because I wanted to break the generic convention of band members and male figures on the front cover of a magazine. So I did have it, so it was quite still dark with it being Halloween, but it was still of a female, so it was more open. I used a lot of page furniture when it came to my contents page, and little extras all around that, just to like open it up a bit more friendlier, as women are more likely to buy magazines as well, and they're more likely to look like that sort of thing. I mixed both styles of font with sans serif and serif because it goes to each person that way. It's more interesting for both, and bands that attract both male and female audiences. So I've got harder bands, harder rock bands, and then I've also added more of the popular and female bands as well. Bands that, so calm colours, so my oranges that I chose weren't really dark, and my reds, they were more pastel, they were more calmer. So that way it's just more subtle for people to look at. And I've done it to make a more equal audience, making it more marketable in stores, as it will attract both genders. So I did break a lot of the traditions to have with using more white than black and going for a female on the cover. Question 6 is, what have you learnt about the technologies from the process of constructing this product? I've learned many new sites, Photoshop I've never used before, and that was one of the most important to make your front cover. So I had to learn everything basically about it. I had to learn how to put the text in, how to put the pictures in. I find this is a very important piece to keep up to date with for people that do publish magazines on a day-to-day basis. It's a good way for them to bring out all colours and make it promotable for them. A tip for me for Photoshop is to make sure that the picture fits into the frame when your masthead is in place, because I found it very hard because I had a main feature of someone where it was very clear about their makeup. It was very hard to fit their head into the picture. With InDesign, once again it was the first time I used it and I didn't like it as much. as Photoshop. I found it was quite a complex thing to learn. There was a lot of different things to get your head around. It was a good program though, and it did help you make things, but I did find that if you want a coloured background, to have your text in place beforehand, because I couldn't make text boxes when I put my black background onto my picture. WordPress was another thing we used. We did this to post our work onto the internet straight away, which is a good way to do that. However, it is quite tricky to learn and it does play up a lot. But you can rescale images and add more into your post, so it was a good way to put many pictures in, which is a good tip to use. PowerPoint, as I've used it before, it wasn't that hard to make things with. It was a good tool to use though, and for media companies to use, because they have to give plenty of presentations, and it's a good way to put your information onto a screen. My main tip for PowerPoint is to add the developer ribbon onto it, as if you want a video into your PowerPoint, you need that ribbon in. For Publisher, I used to do some of my other evaluation points, and I found it a good one to use, a good tool to use if you are doing any annotations of a page, because it's easier to move things around. And then things like messaging I used to contact people to get back to quickly. My main tips for people next year are to constantly save your files, because you can lose them if your computer went off, and then always back it up as well, so you've also got it on either your email or a memory stick. Also, ask friends and family for advice on anything for your work, and spell check and proofread all of your magazine pages to make sure there are no mistakes.
Okay, great, thank you.